Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hey guys, this is Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and I am here with my lovely co-hosts, Crystal Wing. Hello. And Robin Grubel.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about something today that is honestly is really, really helpful for everybody. If you're doing any kind of detection, professional, sport, otherwise just for fun, whatever, it's this is a really important topic. And we've had a couple of kind of heavy episodes, so we decided to do something a little bit lighter tonight. So we're going to talk about something called odor hygiene. And it's actually a really, really, really important topic. And we're going to be covering all kinds of things about why it's important. We're going to cover how we store our odor, how do we avoid issues and that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode.
Why is it so important?
Why is it so important? Because we want a well-trained dog.
Yes. And from how I look at it, especially with the cadaver odors, right? They transfer.
Yes.
Really well.
Yes.
And so I think about where you put your odors. I spend a lot of time letting things vent after a cadaver dog training because things just smell. And I'm actually more worried in the long term with many of my odors about as I start setting out my odors in all of these different places, that all of those different odors then get transferred onto my training aids.
Yeah.
And when you're hiding stuff in things like, tractors and cars, and you have grease and things that get exhaust that gets stuck to the containers that your training aids are in, it actually becomes really important to be able to clean the outside of those training aids, the containers, so that you are training on the purest form of odor that you can get. Because, our dogs are wonderful little detection machines, and they might go, hey, for the last 2 months, my training aid smells like ammonium nitrate and a little bit of grease because of where mom placed it. So if I'm going to get onto ammonium nitrate, I need to be doing just ammonium nitrate, no added grease, those sorts of things. So for me, when I think a lot about odor hygiene, it's about keeping my training aids as pristine as possible. And there's been some discussion when I go teach at some of the law enforcement seminars that most of us trainers actually have 2 sets of odors. We have the odors that we go out and we train with in the wild. and then we've got the odors that we use for ORTs and training in a much more controlled setting, that those odors are not going to get contaminated. Those are the odors that you'd also, if you're certifying for other people, that you use for certifications because they're clean odors. And after a year, the ones that you use out in the wild, you dispose of. You take the ones that you've been using in your facility or for ORTs, you move them to let's take you out into the wild, and you get a new set.
Right.
So it actually becomes quite expensive, and the odor hygiene is exhausting.
So for us, the reason why odor hygiene is so important is because when we're trialing, right, we are so there's odor hygiene actually for training, And then as a judge, there's an excessive amount of odor hygiene I need to have when I set hides, when I'm judging, because basically we're judging whether or not the dog finds where the hide is where we set it. And we don't want to have an issue where the dog is producing alerts in unintended places. So that's why it's really important to me as a sports competitor and judge. But as a trainer, it's important to me, especially when those dogs are new and just learning, that we minimize the confusion that might happen if we are transferring odor all over the place in an unintended way, because we haven't been careful with our odor. So that's important because, especially with essential oil, this stuff's like crazy. Stuff is pretty insane. So, all has to do with protecting the search area for us.
I think about your essential oils as the way that they seem to move. You could put your little Q-tip of odor in a tin, and then it's almost like a little disease that kind of goes across the entire tin.
Yeah.
And it makes the whole entire tin smell.
Yes, it does. It does. It's kind of like, like blacksmith, right? When they heat up an iron and it turns bright red.
Yes.
That's kind of how I picture my tin. When I have odor in it, it's like the bright red, like the whole thing, and everything it touches, it's just going, there's odor, right?
And it was interesting because when you were here training, you're like, well, I have to go clean this. And so what are you using to wipe down the area? And is it just the area where your tin is touching something else that you're cleaning when you clean stuff?
So I use a product called Zero Odor, and it's off of Amazon. It's not perfect. But it helps. It helps. It just kind of, I'm sure there's still odor there, but it does kind of help the environment a little bit. But yeah, I use that to help to clean the area if I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reuse the area.
So I want to stick us back to the why just a little bit more. So I like the how.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a lot more hows, but I'm curious about the why. So far, I've heard from you guys that. So Robin, you have 2 different sets, and you have 2 different sets because you don't want to train unattended mixes. Basically, am I summarizing that right? You have the clean set, and then the set that if it gets
unattended
a little
mixes. Okay, that was like a big fancy word for saying I got stuff on my training aids.
Yes.
Okay, so I have cross-contaminated my training aids from the environment are now stuck to my training aids when I put them back in their storage. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's one of the things that I guard against.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah.
This is like so I've seen people take their Q-tips out of the tin that they just used and place it in the environment. They take those Q-tips and they put them back in the jar with all their clean Q-tips, like all their freshly made, beautifully brand new scented Q-tips. That is a number one big no-no. Because now you're taking all of that stuff that Robin's talking about and you're putting that in your jar of Q-tips along with all of your source odor just because you don't want to waste a Q-tip. Guys, it's okay.
Waste the Q-tip.
Waste the Q-tip. Just don't put it back in there.
So if your Q-tips are hot lava irons, did you just put a fire extinguisher into your little Q-tip container by putting that contaminated Q-tip in there?
I like to think about it this way.
You lost me on that one.
Well, no, you've got the visual of the fire and you just put a fire extinguisher in there. You just like spread all that gross goo stuff all over everything, like what a fire extinguisher does, because you just took cross-contamination.
I'm thinking about the fact that we had Q-tips out and placed next to chicken poop and donkey poop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
And now when you take that Q-tip that has been hanging out next to that those
Yeah.
wonder or odoriferous smells,
Yeah.
and you drop them in your clean jar, you've now just made all the rest of your Q-tips smell like donkey poop and chicken
So
poop.
right. So okay. So think about colors. You have a jar of, let's pretend the odor is yellow. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of, this is a little crazy. Think about, let's say odor is yellow, right? And when you put that yellow, I'm just using colors, right? So as you take that odor's yellow and you put it in an area that's blue, right? So maybe your blue is your chicken poop, right?
Right.
And yellow is your birch, and blue's chicken poop. And now a little bit of that yellow turns a little purple, right? So now you take that purple and you put it back in your jar of yellow. You no longer have yellow.
So are you saying that yellow and blue make purple?
I was like, you had me until you went, yeah, you were like green. I was like,
I thought it was such a great idea. And I'm like, oh, right, as blue and red as purple.
As you talk to an art teacher, good luck.
I was trying to connect on a very,
but that's a great example.
yeah, but
It's-
it was the wrong colors.
But it was
okay.
still a great
It's okay.
example.
Okay, green.
Yes.
So now the jar is green because
Actually, it's
apparently
blue.
I skipped art class.
No, now the jar is yellow green because you have the yellow in there. You've put the
Okay.
blue, just a little blue in there now. So
Right.
now there's more of the yellow than the blue. So you have more of a yellow green.
Yeah. But if you keep doing that, you're going to have a green jar.
Well, you're going to have a green jar. You're going to have a jar.
You're going to have a
that's-
brown jar by the time you're done. And
Yeah.
who wants a
Right.
jar of brown, really?
Exactly.
You know what that is.
Exactly. Exactly. So
You mix all the colors together, you get brown, just telling you.
Right.
yeah. So so my colors were off, but the idea was good.
Right. But
yeah.
that is like one of the uppermost things of why I am very careful. I love some of the training aid containers that I use because I can clean them.
Yeah.
And it's very nice to be able to do that. But I just think it's important for people to really worry about all of that cross-contamination stuff.
So as a judge, you don't want it to have any sort of contamination or anything because of the fairness of the competitors.
Or as a certifying official, that's actually a concern as well.
Okay.
Makes
Because
sense.
I don't want my dead guys smelling like the dead raccoons that I
Well,
picked
and you
up
didn't
or
say it,
vice versa.
But also, like, I don't want dead guy on me. Like that's
No,
yeah.
Ew.
yeah.
Ew.
So that's another.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's just a biohazard, and I don't want to catch whatever they had.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then as a trainer, then Stacy mentioned about new dogs. You want to minimize the confusion, which I feel like every episode we always talk about clarity.
Yes.
And again,
Agreed.
there's that piece, clarity.
Mhm.
And so then the one thing I wanted to add about the why is that the dog needs downtime. And that was
Yes.
something that I felt like I made a huge mistake on in the beginning. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing the birch on the towels and the container. And then when I was done, I was taking them in the laundry room and just throwing them in the basket. And then when I had enough of them,
Then you'd wash them.
Then I'd wash the whole
Oh.
basket.
Meanwhile, you walk in your house, you open up the door, like,
Well, no,
smells
because
like birch.
I also
Yeah.
didn't know that people were like using so much birch. So I had one Q-tip with 2 drops for 30
Oh,
towels.
dang.
And so they were so lightly scented that I couldn't smell the birch.
Oh,
But
yeah,
still,
but if you keep it enclosed in like a plastic container,
I still couldn't smell it. But that doesn't mean anything. But still, I
But
am
the
not
dogs
giving my
can smell
dogs
it.
a
Right.
downtime at all. And I
Yeah.
wasn't recognizing that. And then on top of that, our odor is supposed to be our motivation magnet. And so if I have it just sitting in my environment, when are they supposed to know they're supposed to be crazy about it to go hunt that out versus it's just sitting there?
Well, and now it's background noise.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted to add that to the whys. Now let's talk about the hows. Okay, good. Go.
So, and this is one of the things, the how actually becomes when you talk about transporting odor.
Uh-huh.
It's actually can be quite complicated. One of the reasons I know my husband loves me, besides the fact that I have 44 donkeys.
So you're up to 44?
Well, with the babies, I think I'm up to 44.
You were
Oh,
like
wow.
40 when I left, weren't you?
I didn't. I haven't counted in a while. So, but
Transport.
he bought me a luggage rack for the top of my minivan because, yes, I am a soccer mom with my dogs in the minivan, and
Oh, we all are.
yeah. And the reason I had him do that is because when you are transporting a cooler of stuff, that it one can leak.
Oh,
And I with some of so I actually travel, my stuff is in 3 layers of containment, which guards against leaking, but you still have things defrosting.
oh,
Right. So and I also modify which cooler I'm putting on top of my car so that it's not running down my car, because that was
well, you also want to make sure that's not the cooler that you actually have like your Diet Coke in or whatever.
Yeah, correct.
You reach in for the wrong.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so there I have successfully commandeered several several coolers just because I'm like, I need a cooler to transport something in that's this size. I'm like, well, I guess I don't need that cooler for Diet Coke
Well, and
anymore.
a cooler is not going to be airtight. So
No, it's
yeah.
not.
No.
It's not. So there's times where I have things in jars,
Yeah.
and then in Mylar bags. And then then I've also found that you can actually find on Amazon 2-gallon Mylar bags, which are resealable, which are fantastic. Because then I can put 4 or 5 sources that are in Mylar bags of the similar type of material. Somebody's probably going to trash me for that one. They might have 2 layers of containment, and then they go all in the big Mylar bag together, and I can seal that, and then that goes in a cooler. And then I will duct tape the lip of the cooler shut.
Yeah.
Because that's more to keep everything in versus really guarding against anything else. I just don't want it leaking.
No.
So you taught me about the Mylar, but why is Mylar superior over just like a Ziploc?
Ziploc is organic. I can't remember if it's Lauren or Paula that's done a lot of research on this. But the Mylar, or it might be Michelle and those guys.
Plastic absorbs odor.
It's organic. And Mylar is aluminum size. So Mylar is actually the name brand. So Mylar they're aluminum sized bags.
Yeah.
And so there's that metal coating that goes on the inside.
Yeah.
And I have switched my entire cadaver dog freezer over to doing Mylar bags, and the smell has dropped significantly. I mean, and the other thing is then your training aids don't talk to each other, because when you're in plastic, things talk to each other. Yeah, don't do that. Even think about even those plastic ammo cans. Yeah.
Oh yeah, forget it. Yeah, no, those. Yeah, no, they're not. Plastic absorbs odor. It just does. It's
and
just
it has
if you
an
have
odor.
plastic, it does, and it absorbs odor like crazy. It turns into like an odor sponge. It's like, you set a hide on something plastic or in something plastic. The whole thing just becomes this big odor blob.
Well, and they'll tell you for bomb dogs, if you have anything with nitroglycerin in it and it's stored in plastic, well, actually just in general, it will all smell like nitroglycerin.
Okay.
And even for the narcotic stuff, if you do that, it all smells like marijuana. So, just so you know.
Because it absorbs only one of those odors better than the others.
Yeah, and cross-contamination, the cross-contamination that happens in your kits if you don't have things appropriately sequestered, because ideally what you should have is I have little tiny, I have 2 layers of containment automatically for all of my narcotics, explosives. Each odor has 2 layers of containment, and then we might have a third in another. I might put them in it's a Pelican. Well, they're Pelican cases or the cheaper version of Pelican cases that do seal.
Yeah, I use a Cloud 10. I have a Cloud 10 Amazon, which is kind of like that. It's got a knob that you twist, and it helps it tighten it down.
Seal better.
Yeah, the seal gets better. So this is my levity for the moment. There's another use for Mylar, which is really great. Well, at least
Food storage.
Yeah, hello. So
Food storage.
I got these great London broils on sale.
Yes.
Right. It was a 2-pack and it was like a really great price. And I was really excited. Well, I am a single person, and here I was with a 2-pack of London broil, which that is like, I don't know, like 2 weeks of meat for me or whatever it is. So I separated them out and I wrapped them in saran, and then I put them in the Mylar bag. And then I didn't have like I didn't have like one of those like vacuum sealers or whatever. So I just like used a straw to like try to suck out some of the air and sealed it. So those are now in my freezer. Another use for Mylar bags.
Well, and that will hopefully protect against freezer burn.
That was my other. Yeah, that's why I had the saran on there and stuff like that. But yeah, so fun fact. It's rich. So, and my dog food bags are actually, I think they're lined in Mylar.
Right. Oh.
Which is the kibble that my dogs get is actually lined in Mylar, which is actually kind of neat.
Robin, you were talking about you already have 2 layers of containment on your narcotics. What are those?
Gosh, she brings us all back.
I
after
know. You're so good at that. So my training aids are, I use the odor soaks because I do not have a DEA license. And so and this is especially important for I have 2 sets of odors. So I use the products from Canine and actually Precision Explosives. They're TADs. And they're glass, and they've got an odor soak in it of the narcotics that I have my dogs on. And I have the TAD itself because it seals, and the lid that you put onto the TAD also seals. That's actually considered 1 layer of containment. And then I put that TAD inside of a Mylar bag. That's the 2nd layer of containment. That actually I could take out into the wild and I could place. But for storage at my house, I then have a 3rd layer of containment. So I actually have, I went to Harbor Freight and bought a bigger, cheaper version of the Pelican case that seals and clamps down really hard. And so they are then in that particular case in a refrigerator.
So that you don't get the refrigerator stank on your
on my training aids, but also from what I've heard, haven't done any research, so take it for what it's worth, is when not in use, the chillier you can keep your aids, there's less off-gassing. And for those of us who use odor soaks a lot, that's actually really important for the longevity of your training aids.
So interesting. So I used to tell people put all their odor in a freezer, right? And we're talking essential oils. Here's the thing though, is that with anise, I just want to kind of mention this, anise actually solidifies at a high temperature compared to the other oils. So I generally just say, you know what, guys, don't worry about it too much. But, we're also not dealing with the types of odors that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So,
you guys can go buy a jar of odor.
Yeah. You really just make new ones.
Yeah. Just make new ones.
It's not a big deal. And at the same time, I also want people to train on varying strengths of odor. So if your odor, like if it weakens for some, over a period of a month or whatever, that's okay. That's okay. Because you need to train on all those strengths. You need to train on the weaker stuff and the stronger stuff.
The different thresholds. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it
with the off-gassing too, I liked how you brought that up because when Lauren DeGrief, when we talked to her, I don't remember what episode that was, but she talked about how putting it back into that Mylar bag also kind of rejuvenated it. Yeah, that was a moment for me.
So when I pull all of my stuff out of my Mylar bags, I actually seal my Mylar bags back up and then put them away, even if the training aid is out in the wild. And then when I put them back in with latex or with nitrile gloves, I say latex gloves. For me, that kind of encompasses anything that looks like you might be at a doctor's office.
Okay, yeah, I use the nitrile gloves. I use the
Yeah.
nitrile, like the blue ones or
The blue ones. Yeah, they like the blue ones. And better than the vinyls. Don't get the vinyls. And I'll then put them all back. And some of my training aids have rare earth magnets on, so I have to fight with the little zip things. And
yeah, yep,
yeah.
yep.
And the smaller headspace. So headspace is also something that's really important for people to understand, because you'll see people put like if you have a 12-ounce jar and you put in 2 ounces of stuff and then you have 10 ounces of open space, that is a lot of headspace. So the 2 ounces of stuff in the bottom off gases a lot. So the more you need to leave some space for all the little compounds to bounce around, like the free floating ions that they are.
Mm-hmm.
But smaller space is better.
Yep.
In my planet. Unless you're freezing cadaver odor in a tad, and then please just only fill it about 75% full. Because if you're going to freeze the tads, you need to freeze them sitting upright. Otherwise, it stretches the filter. Because when things freeze, they expand.
Exactly.
Just like, you don't fill your milk jugs too full of goat milk when you put them in the freezer. That's never happened.
I just don't have that problem, Robin.
The last time I put my goat milk in the freezer.
Or Ziploc bags. Yeah, that was messy. It was really messy. So make sure you leave enough space if you're going to freeze stuff, in my world, that it can expand safely.
Well, if it's liquid, right? So
Yes.
liquid does expand when it's frozen.
Correct.
In its frozen state.
You mentioned the gloves. You said there are specific ones. You said not the
Not
cheapy
latex,
ones, but
not vinyl.
okay.
Nitrile.
What if you're like the silly people like me that you're like, oh, I hate throwing so much stuff away. Like, how often should you be using the gloves and rotating them? And are there alternatives? Like, what have you found?
Just change the gloves.
Yeah.
Seriously, you should be changing gloves in between. When you're putting out all of your odors, you should be trained. Narcotics and explosives, right?
Yeah. This is maybe not sport, although it's sport. I think we tend to be a little bit more loosey-goosey than we should be in a lot of cases. And if you are judging, you better be anal.
And I think for you guys, just thinking about, so one of the things when I first started cadaver work, somebody explained it to me that is you should always imagine that your training aids have paint on them.
Yep.
And every time you touch your training aid, just imagine what else you're touching, that you're transferring paint.
Yes.
And so I think about you guys setting out your essential odors. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got paint on paint thinner that is just like everywhere, like splatters and stuff. Yep. And so between every training aid going out, new gloves when you go pick them up, new gloves when you put them away, it gets really interesting when you've tried. I have a dirty hand and a clean hand. And so, because I have the clean hand that's got a hold of the containment systems, and I have the dirty hand that's picked up the aid and then is trying to shove a disc into a Mylar bag, and the magnet gets stuck.
I remember. Didn't we do that? It took us like 4 hands.
Yes, it was very frustrating. And so, but that's how you really have to think of it. Yes, I buy boxes.
Yeah,
I should probably invest in whichever company makes nitrile gloves, because that's what you should be using.
Yeah. Now, if you're doing sport detection, I don't think you need to use 5 pairs in a session. Gloves is definitely
Or set out all your clothes and then go change a glove and then go set out all of your anuses, because you don't want your anus smelling like clove and your clove smelling like anus.
So let's get into how I do it, right? So it could be a little bit different because I'm not as worried about that, honestly, because we are also tested on combo odors. So they will set out hide, well, at least in NACSW, not AKC, but in NACSW, they will set out hides that are a mixture of different odors. So they'll put a Q-tip of different odors in the same tin as part of what you may be looking for. So it could be like a birch anise hide, or it could be a birch anise clove hide, or any combination. In AKC, you're only going to have one odor. Now, I keep my odor in my, I have a travel kit. I keep every odor separate from each other. So I don't want to keep an anise tin together with a birch tin, because I keep preloaded stuff just to make it easier to go out and train, right? It's a little bit, we don't have as many of the restrictions and everything that you guys have. So it's, I have preloaded tins. And what I do is I have glass jars with metal lids. I don't want plastic lids. I want metal lids. And I keep the tins in there. Now, all of that, they were separated. Every odor is separated. And I store all that in my Cloud 10 case.
Okay. And I think that one of the things that I forgot to mention, as Stacy very nicely laid out how she stores everything, because we talked about gloves. Gloves are really important for our bomb dog handlers, because the chemicals that are in the actual explosives are carcinogenic. So, yes. So it's really important for people who are handling those particular chemicals to be wearing gloves, because you do not want all of that sucked into your skin. And for those of us who are cadaver dog handlers, one of the primary criteria you have before you can even get certified is, and one of the first things your team should be requiring you to do, is to take a bloodborne pathogens class. And so when you're handling human remains, that's trust me, there's a couple of times where I've gone out and got the cattle OBGYN gloves that go from all the way up your arm. Because I don't want any of that goo on me, because I appreciate the people who are donating their remains, but I don't know them and I don't know what they may have. And so it's a lot of we use the gloves to protect the aids from our smell, but we use the gloves to protect us from what's on the aids. So that was my whole, please don't put them out with your bare hands.
Yeah, excellent PSA there.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just going to go to, I guess it all depends on what you want to achieve and what you want to work on and what your goals are.
Yeah.
Because when I've heard some of the stories and seen how the things you've had to do with dead people, nope, I don't want to go there. Oof. And then, just helping with the bomb dog stuff, and it's that's stressful. I'm like, I don't know what it can touch, and I don't want it to touch too many things, and then I don't want it to get other stuff on it, because I know you're using the odor soaks, and so I'm trying to be so thoughtful about the odor placement, and it's a lot of thought.
And then where does it fit? Where will it not fit? And
and where would a bad guy do it? So it needs to also be kind of thoughtful and reasonable. So it's not just training to train or testing or that sort of thing.
And then you start thinking about, and this is one of the reasons why it's so fun, Stacy, to think about how you guys can place your odors practically anywhere.
Yeah.
And because with our odor, how our odor moves, there's a availability issue if you put them, certain places, and you're not going to let them cook that long.
Yeah.
And it's fun to be able to put out a essential oil and be like, "Ooh, look at that! It's huge."
Not going to change your behavior 100 feet away. Yeah,
yes.
Which actually I've seen. I have it on video. Great video.
I saw it. Video. It's a great one.
Yeah.
Really awesome video. Yeah, it was an awesome video. It is definitely, and as far as we can use straws. We can use, which you don't want to reuse those very much. But we have straws, we have tins, we have all kinds of things that we can do. Get those hides in small places. But
yes, which is much different. I use a lot of Wattman paper.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that soaks up the stuff, which that's how I've successfully taught the dogs to detail, is because I will actually rip the Whatman paper. This is me with two tweezers. Podcast land can't see this, but this is me with two tweezers, like ripping up Whatman paper, because I don't want to touch the Whatman paper.
Yeah.
Even with my gloves on, I don't really want to touch it, but I can, because I don't want the nitrile glove odor on my Whatman paper. And so I tear it up, and then I can stick the pieces of Whatman paper in the seams of my cars. It works really great for cars that are locked when your dogs don't put their paws on cars, because I teach that. Keep all 4 feet on the floor. And I can do seams that way, and I don't have to worry about retrieving my training aid.
And that was something too I had to think about, was even using the tweezers, because now I've introduced that odor onto my tweezers.
Yes.
And so the tweezers, the tins, and when I was starting with the Kong, I always made sure that I boiled that, and then I would, air dry that. And that was how I made sure. And I also use, I'm not out of the kitchen drawer, but I went and bought a separate pair of metal tongs.
Yes.
So that way, like if I could reach things, that's when I got into my infamous story of when I lost a piece of Kong in the ATM machine, and I was sitting there.
Whoa. Rewind.
How many law enforcement showed up?
Right. And that's
this?
You sit there and you're digging in this machine with this pair of tweezers and this pair of tongs, and you're trying to get a piece of Kong out, and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look good. I'm just going to walk away.
That's probably the same time when I did vehicle searches on the post on the mail trucks. It's probably like along the same line.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm reaching up, like hiding stuff on a mail truck. That's probably right up there with reaching into the ATM machine to get your
with the tongs. Yes. Well, and you have, so how do you clean all this stuff? So you have tins, I have the shaker cans that we often use in scent wheels, and I'll use all sorts of places, because you're putting not only your odors in those tins, but then you've got distractor odors that you're putting in tins, and you're touching them, and, contamination galore, plus all of your tweezers. Boil them in hot water. And for people who are using Kongs, you can use boiling them in hot water to not only clean the Kong, but it also reduces the odor that the Kong gives off, so the dog actually has to work harder. That's a couple of reasons for boiling the Kongs. So boil them, let them air dry. Don't stick them in the dishwasher unless you're going to run a couple of clean cycles and clean your trap first, because otherwise they'll smell. Yes.
We had all that conversation about cleaning the trap of the dishwasher.
Yes. And so, because your dishwashers are actually quite stinky. And if you're using, so one of the other things that I'll do is, because we were talking about your training aids, acquiring stuff from the environment. So wouldn't you know, you can actually buy muslin bags, like little gift bags with the little drawstrings out on Amazon for quite cheap. And I actually will put my odors in those, and then I can use them to hang places, so that any odor from the environment that gets on the training aid won't get on the training aid. It gets on the bag.
Oh, okay.
And then I wash those bags.
How do you wash them?
In the washing machine after I've run it with no soap. So I do one cycle with no soap. And then I run them in the washing machine with no soap and air dry them. Don't put them in the dryer with your dryer sheets. That's a bad idea.
And you also have a washing machine trap. And you also have, if you have like the front load, you have that rubber guard in the front. And if you don't regularly clean that, please start. It's really gross. You'll start to see how bad that gets.
Yes.
So those are things to kind of, pay attention to as well.
And we sound like we're being super anal about this sort of stuff, and we are. Sorry, we are. Yeah. Because we can inadvertently put our dogs on odors that don't actually matter.
Yeah.
And when they start thinking that moldy gunk from the dishwasher is part of the scent picture, and then they go out and try and find their true odor, and the moldy scent from the dishwasher isn't there.
Right.
It creates confusion and can create training issues.
Yeah.
So
What, you want clarity? What?
I know, right?
We don't want our dogs alerting on novel odor. Oh my God.
But that also goes back to what do you want to achieve? Because I think some people would say, well, I'm not really that serious about it. I just kind of want to go do this for fun on the weekends. What would you say to that? Is this all important for that person?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. Clarity is about fairness to the dog. And whether or not you're going out there, I'm going to talk about it from the competition side, right? Whether or not you want to go out there and you want to win, or if you're just like, hey, we're just going to have fun, you still want to be fair to the dog. And if your dog's giving you feedback that they're confused and they're not quite sure exactly how to earn that reward, honestly, confusion causes anxiety. And it makes it it's not fun anymore. It's only fun if there's no confusion.
So you want to keep it just as fun for your dog as you do for you.
Yeah.
But what if it's not fun for you to do all this contamination stuff?
This is part of the game that you are
I
playing.
prioritize the fun of the dog over the fun of the handler in that case.
Well, and I look at it this way. If you are not willing to do some of the fundamental things to participate in your sport or your calling, which is what working dog work often is, it's because, you don't make a lot of money doing that.
What?
I know, go figure. Or for search and rescue people, we volunteer our time. If you're not willing to go through the fundamentals of odor hygiene, if you're not willing to go through the fundamentals of training your dog to clearly do the fundamentals, then maybe this line of work is actually not for you. Because the job that we are doing with our working dogs for narcotics, explosives, bed bugs, the conservation dogs, the cadaver dogs, all of those sorts of things, we're talking about life and death stuff. And that's actually very important for you to have a very positive mental attitude about your odor hygiene.
And I think about bed bugs. Don't make a mistake there.
Oh, yeah. You don't want contamination. You do not.
So maybe if you just imagine that all of your odors are actual like little bed bugs.
Ugh,
and
there you go.
I think,
Just no.
no.
Just
I think I'm going to have a nightmare tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we were talking about doing bed bugs, but then we were scared. It's like, okay.
Issue. I was judging a trial with a friend of mine. We were both judging, and we were in Atlanta. It was over like New Year's or whatever, and we're doing this trial. Really great trial and everything, but it was like a combo trial and a seminar and that kind of thing. And I woke up on the fourth day. I think it was New Year's Day or whatever, New Year's Eve or something. And I woke up with bites. Oh, you want to talk? You want to hear? You want to see someone freak out?
Oh.
And then I found a live one. You want to see someone freak out? I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so had to like throw everything out, throw my luggage out, et cetera, et cetera. No, you do not want contamination. You do not want that stuff in your house. Okay. So anyway, sorry, I was getting triggered. I was a little triggered.
I made the decision that I was like, you know what? I have plenty of bugs on my farm. I don't need to bring bugs onto my farm. So I'm good.
I just got triggered.
Thinking about that hygiene, that was something Nancy and I were talking about. We're like, well, why not do bed bugs? And then we both were like, okay, well, let's say that your dog goes and finds them. What is the proper hygiene for making sure your dog doesn't bring any home, that you don't bring any home? And we both just said, no, we don't want to play.
They have to be in that sealed vessel.
A friend of mine does bed bug work.
Yeah, they're in a sealed
and
vessel.
No, the training part. I'm saying you go out to the hotel and you're at the hotel where they're there and you find an infestation.
And you just walk right through it.
And you're in it. So now what's the hygiene for getting all of that off of you and your dog?
She actually does a decontamination procedure on the dog, especially on their paws and going up their legs. She washes off their legs, their undercarriage, all of that sort of stuff. She actually has shoes that she'll put in plastic bags, and then she takes them home. And I believe, I can't remember if she puts, there's
a hot washer.
It's a hot washer, and she sheds her clothes. I don't know if she
say before getting in the car.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually one of those other things you talk about, that type of odor hygiene.
Yeah.
Decontaminating a dog who has actually worked in a landfill.
Yeah.
We ended up actually pulling out the crate mats and the crate pans, and those all had to be disinfected because when we'd get done, we'd put the dogs in the crates to transport the dogs. Yeah. So we actually had to pull out the crates, the crate pans, and then wash them and wash the dogs and then dry them and put them back in the car before we could. So bed bugs are about the same for me. I'd probably want a flamethrower. But
also thinking about the odor hygiene stuff, I'm thinking about the leashes and how we make sure we keep those clean, the harnesses, everything the dogs wear. If you wear booties, all of that, you got to consider that as all part of it.
Yeah. It's quite complicated.
Keep it clean.
I mean, when you guys are doing like the FEMA stuff, you don't know what you're getting into. Like,
no, the one, we were in Joplin and they asked us to go work, I believe it was the Home Depot, and poor little Talon comes out. He walked through tar.
Oh.
And so we had to shave his feet. He looked like he had chicken feet. He looked like poodle toes. It was just, I was like, you poor boy. And but we had to shave all the tar off of his feet. So it was, no more Sasquatch feet for him.
And he's a little floof too.
He was a little floof.
Oh, little less floof.
With a little scary chicken feet.
The other thing I was curious, does it matter? Like, I've heard too that you shouldn't wear perfume or deodorants or things like that when you're handling your odor.
Think about all of those oils that get transferred, that you can transfer or stick in the bags. I mean, deodorant. Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with deodorant. As long as it's not like,
I'm sorry. What if if I'm judging, like, I'm sorry, I draw the line.
I
draw the line. I am wearing deodorant.
Yeah. No perfume, but deodorant.
Yeah. No,
Do you use
I don't
like alcohol to wash your hands then or something like that to keep it super clean for judging? Or does it, it's just such a big odor.
We use gloves. We use gloves. And actually, my friend Anna, she's brilliant, right? She's absolutely brilliant. She actually has 2 shades of blue, and she has 1 shade of blue for hot that she wears, and then she gives her cold people that handle all the cold stuff, a different shade of blue.
Oh, so, brilliant!
Gosh, God forbid, right? You find a glove on the ground, she knows if it's hot or cold.
Oh, nice!
She's brilliant.
That's super smart.
Awesome. That is smart.
different shades of gloves, light blue, dark blue. Yep.
You could even do white and blue or black and blue or.
Well, so then that gets me to thinking, in your ORTs, you should probably be including different colors of gloves in your ORTs because I bet that they smell differently because of the dyes.
I bet you're right.
So little fascinating tidbits that we think about all of these things.
Yeah, which gets to the color dye does have odor. People who are in nosework people, please don't use those plastic stick Q-tips with the different colors in order to color code your odors. Please don't do that. I've seen people do that where they have pink and blue and yellow and they do a different color for every odor. Please don't do that. That's my PSA.
That's your PSA? Actually,
that's my PSA.
You have another PSA.
I have all kinds of PSAs.
No, your other PSAs is your Q-tips can't be naked.
Oh, yeah. No naked Q-tips, people. Thank you for reminding me. Please, capital P, LEASE. Please do not leave, or please do not set naked Q-tips as hides in the search area. Okay, your Q-tips need to be properly clothed and decent. Okay, because you're going to that oil. That's like that paint. That's like tar, man. It's like leaving tar in the search area.
Is the reason that you want them clothed is so that when you stick them in somewhere, the oils don't then like ooze out of it into the surrounding area?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
that you're not like it becomes radioactive. It's like, now you're leaving the surf area radioactive.
Well, and that's like radioactive forever because your guys' odors stick there.
Oh, tell me about it. That stuff is like you can't get rid of it. So yeah, it is highly, highly, highly irresponsible to use a naked Q-tip in the search area, because here's the thing: we have thousands and thousands and thousands of nose workers now. People out there trying to train their dogs, or even just going through an area, walking their dog, not training at that moment, and you've set a naked Q-tip, and that naked Q-tip, even though you've removed it, is now creating a scent cone that is just as big as if they put a hide out there. Please, guys, don't do that. That is highly irresponsible. That's my PSA. And there's no LOL joking after that one.
Okay. I won't make an LOL joke.
There's no LOL. Okay, go ahead.
Like, imagine a Q-tip in a bikini, right?
No, we don't
Anyway.
want that. Clothe your Q-tips, folks.
Clothe your Q-tips.
Decent Q-tips only, nothing naked.
So I think hopefully we have covered odor hygiene, at least in a fun and a fun, entertaining way. Oh,
hot containers. Did we talk about hot containers?
Oh yeah, when they're hot, if they're hot once, they're always hot.
correct.
Okay, we covered it.
I have people doing lots of odor work at my house. If you turn over some of my, I actually have a permanent explosives detection box, a permanent narcotics box, probably 2 permanent cadaver dog boxes, and 1 for universal odor. So those are always my hot boxes. The only way they would not become hot is if I would wash them and let them air dry.
And if you mark
unless
them,
they're
make
plastic.
sure you mark them all.
yes, mine are marked on the bottom where the dog can't see.
Yes.
But even for the odor part of it, so if you used a Sharpie on one of them, use a Sharpie on all of them.
And make little different designs, make little smiley faces on everything.
Yeah, if I'm using a Rubbermaid, I actually score the bottom, like I score it like an X, so that it's not actually I haven't actually marked it. I can just kind of like
Score it.
score
That's a
it.
great idea.
But if you do have it, if the container is plastic, it can never be made cold again.
That's true, because what we learned earlier is that plastic absorbs odor.
Exactly.
I was thinking about like water. You know, like, have you ever drank like a bottle of water and you didn't know that it was an older bottle of water and it has that really bad plasticky taste?
Yes.
Oh my God, I just tried a Diet Coke today and I thought I was going to die. I opened it, it was old, and I was like, ugh.
Yes. So there you go.
So that's what I imagine. It's just,
Yeah,
Yes.
it's bad. It's bad.
that to your odor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for joining in on this episode of the Canine Detection Collaborative. Make sure to go out to the website and sign up for our freebies and all sorts of interesting things. Check out the Facebook page because we actually post quite a bit of stuff there. And thank you so much for listening.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.